What if I told you that the Darnay Holmes signing is going to have the same impact as the Jack Jones signing was last year? Don't believe me? I'm going to explain to you why. Let's go.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about this Darnay Holmes pickup. We got to talk about it and why this pickup is Jack Jones-esque. I'm telling you right now, Darnay Holmes signing will have a Jack Jones effect for the Las Vegas Raiders. And why? Because not only does he know Patrick Graham, he was his coach over in New York his rookie year, the 2020-2021 season. So he understands who Patrick Graham is. He knows about what he expects and what he expects from his DBs and what they have to do. But more importantly, and most importantly, he knows Antonio Pierce.
Antonio, you guys signed Darnay Holmes yesterday. I know you used to play for Patrick Graham with the Giants. What did you see from him that made you guys want to bring him in?
Well, actually, you go further than that. I've known Darnay since he was 13. Coached him on the 7-on-7 team when he was a freshman. So, know his father, know his family well. Followed him throughout his career. Spoke to him throughout his college process. So,
He's known him like since he was a youngin. He's known AP. AP knows his family. What does that mean? And why I'm telling you right now, Raider Nation, is going to translate into great play on the field. Let's talk about these things. Antonio Pierce, not too long ago, was a high school coach. Now, he's been taken behind the woodshed by these mainstream media folks who believe, oh, he's inexperienced, he's unqualified, he's not ready for the job. I call BS. It's an actual advantage that AP has over all these other coaches, Sean Payton, Harbaugh, and Andy Reid, because AP was just touching the soil. He's in connection with the soil down there in the state of California when it comes to football. He was just there. He was just recruiting kids playing pee-wee football. He has relationships with all those coaches already. And it's not just the LA area. It's Northern California. It's the Bay Area. It's the Central Valley. It's the inland. It's all these places throughout the entire state of California. And let's call it like it is. Outside of Texas and Florida, California produces the most blue chip football players in the country. AP has a connection with that. That is a tremendous asset. And what happened once he left the high school? He went straight over to ASU with Herm Edwards and Marvin Lewis. So what is HP's job over there outside of linebacker coach? He's the recruiting coordinator. He's the head of all recruiting. So once again, he's tapped in to the California football scene. Now he's tapped in with other regions because he's scouting all these guys all around the country. Who's going to jump into those portals? Who's going to do all these things? He's in that. He's in touch with that soil. That is an advantage for the Las Vegas Raiders. He has relationships with these young men and these coaches. They got his phone number. They texting him right now talking about a player. This is an advantage for the Las Vegas Raiders. Darnay Holmes is going to come here and ball for Antonio Pierce. He's in touch with the soil. Let's talk about why it's going to have a Jack Jones effect. What happened with Jack Jones over in New England? Very similar situations with a little bit of different, but very similar. This is what I mean by they're similar. They were both fourth-round picks. All right, one out of UCLA, one out of Arizona State. Fourth-round picks. So you're down on the depth chart immediately, unless you're like Jacorian Bennett, who was the fourth-round pick of ours, where there was basically no CB1s out here. Shit, the Raiders didn't even have a CB2. That young man was able to show what he did at Maryland his abilities. He flashed on film. He's able to make plays, and he went out there and won that job his rookie year. Now he lost it throughout the season, but the point is, as a 4th-round pick, he was thrown out there as the starter. Jack Jones, that wasn't his situation in New England. In New England, they already had J.C. Jackson, and they had other guys out there, veterans that he had to play behind. But when he had his opportunity, he flashed. Jack Jones has only started 5 NFL games. As he enters his 3rd season, he has started 5 NFL games. Okay? But what was the problem in New England? The coaching staff. Why? Because they didn't know Jack the man. They knew the capabilities of Jack the football player, but they didn't know Jack the man. And let's just call it what it is. These guys coming into the league are 22, 23 years old, and everybody is not fully developed as a man. And I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. So what does that take? That's going to take a coaching staff that has to be willing to know you, to get to know you. What makes you tick? What makes you go? What gets you fired up outside of just saying I'm an NFL football player playing for the New England Patriots who has 7 rings? Because that ain't it. Clearly that's not it, because it didn't last in New England. He got his way up out of there. They cut him because it wasn't about his ability, because we all know he can play. But what did it do? When he got cut, he came to Las Vegas. AP knows him. AP put his job and put his neck out there to go bring in a young man that he knows. And what did it do? It fired up Jack. And when you have players like that you go get, that you know, they don't want to let you down. Because they understand you've just given me a second lease on my football life. Because the NFL is such a machine, it eats players up and spits them right out. Happens all the time. And especially when you are a player who's caught up on the depth chart. That's why it's so important that some of these players go to a franchise that's actually for them. Because you can get drafted by a team and it just doesn't work out for you, because there's politics involved in this thing too. Don't ever think that there's not politics when it comes to depth chart and being able to climb up over somebody on the depth chart. It's just because it happens. It's a real thing. Politics in sports is real. Coaches got favorites. Coaches got people they want to see develop over you. This is what possibly could happen to Darnay Holmes. Because I'm going to tell you now, when you look at the stats, I'm going to show you something when it comes to what he does when he actually gets an opportunity to play. So again, Darnay, coming from a place where he was down in the depth chart, showed flashes, gets cut. Now he's picked up by someone who knows him, someone who has instant credibility with him, and is giving him a new lease on life, on football life. So you think he's going to come over here and want to disappoint? Absolutely not. He's going to want to show, I can get this done for you, coach. I can get it done. I can play this level of ball. I can be very productive for this team. This is how players show their gratitude. Players show their gratitude about what they do on the field, because we all know there have been players who have taken the money and BS their way all throughout the season. We experienced that with Marcus Peters last season. We as Raider fans, we've seen that throughout the decades. Someone as myself, who's been a Raider fan for 30 plus years, I've seen it. I've seen it happen. We know who's taking the checks and just getting that check. But this young man is going to have an impact. So let's go look at the stats. In 2023, he appeared in 16 games of the 17, but he never got over, in totality, more than 12% of all the defensive snaps as a defensive back. But something sticks out last season, and it's in particularly 2 games, weeks 10 and 11. In week 10 versus Dallas Cowboys in the loss, he got 51% of defensive snaps in the backfield. 40 total, it came out to 40. But what did he do? He picked off the ball. He had an interception, pass breakups. The following week, he gets 46% of the snaps in the backfield. That's 37 total plays. Guess what? Another interception. This is my point. When he gets an opportunity to play, he makes plays. What does that tell you for someone who gets little time on the field, but when they get an opportunity, they shine? But more importantly, it tells you that he has the ability to be a playmaker. I love Nate Hobbs. He's a great football player. Nate Hobbs doesn't have, he just started getting interceptions. With like 2 seasons, he didn't do anything. Point being, this young man makes plays, and he's going to have a Jack Jones effect because he understands he has had his second lease on football life, because now he's playing for a coach that he trusts, that he knows not going to BS him and tell him, you do these things, you see the field. Patrick Graham knows you. You do these things, you see the field. So he's an excellent depth piece add-on. He can play in the slot, back up Nate Hobbs. He can play on the perimeter. That means he has the ability to be in all different types of packages, right? Inside, outside, slot, outside, on the island. So we can sometimes run a dime with him out there. Now you don't have to necessarily use Pal Mal out there to play in as a backup slot to Nate. Now you have Darnay Holmes. And shout out to Tom Telesco for trusting and believing in Antonio Pierce, because you know he pounded the table for this young man. We got to go get him. That's the sign of a good GM who actually listens to his coach. Even though he's the senior, not only from the title, but his experience. But he understands Antonio is in touch with the soil. He knows this man. This young guy played for this man. And he knows the AP ripple effect, because it is a ripple effect. So all the Tom Telesco haters that's in Raider Nation, let it go, man. Tom Telesco is a sound GM. He's one of the best in the league, period. Yes, I said it. He's one of the best in the league. Don't let no jaded Chargers fan tell you that man is terrible because they had coaches who couldn't coach. Guess what? His job here was not to get a coach, because our coach was in place. His job is to go collect talent. And every single year, Chargers were paper champions for his 10 years tenure. Throughout his entire tenure, they were the preseason Super Bowl champs. Why? Because they had talent. Because they had talent. He can't do nothing with people who get hurt. That's the training staff. That's poor nutrition. That's the strength and conditioning coaches. Not keeping your players, buoyant and flexible. And they taking so many. That's not the GM's fault. This man is a Bill Polian disciple. Bill Polian is one of the most respected general managers in the history of the NFL. The only other GM living right now who is good as Bill Polian was is Ozzie Newsome of the Ravens. So let's not kid around like Tom Telesco does not know what he's doing. The man has been in the general manager and executive offices for like almost 30 years. So he knows what he's doing. And I give him props for trusting in AP and Champ Kelly and all the other scouts, because here's another one. The scout department did not leave. All of the scout department did not leave when Josh McDaniels got fired. They stayed here to want to play for and work for Antonio Pierce. So I'm telling you, Raider Nation, this is going to be an impactful pickup. It's a great signing. I'm not saying good. Yes, I'm saying great. And the reason why I'm saying it's a great pickup is because what he will do for this team. He will actually produce results because his man believes in him. All right, Raider Nation, you tell me, what do you think about this pickup? Will it have the Jack Jones impact that I say it will, or will he just be another depth piece picked up by AP and Tom Telesco? Let me know. Tell me what's on your mind. I'm always going to hit you back in the comments because that's just what I do here on the Raider Way. See you next time.